Hello everybody, I just went ahead and complete Shadow Warrior 3 on the hardest difficulty. There's just easy, normal, and hard, so I played it through on hard, and it took me about 4.5 hours, which we'll touch on that in the cons. But kind of similar to what I did with Sifu and what I did with Ghost Runner, I do feel that I'm going to give 2 separate review scores at the end. I'm going to give a review score for the price that it's asking, which this game is $50, I believe. So I'm going to give a review and a score for evaluating it as a $50 product, but then I'll also give you a review for a lower, like a score for a lower cost if you could get this on sale or something like that down the line. But let's get into it. I'm just going to do this spoiler free and give you guys the pros and the cons, and then you can make your own judgment based upon that. So for me, I absolutely love Shadow Warrior 1, the like reboot, I guess you could call it, that Devolver did. I absolutely love Shadow Warrior 1. I played a little bit of Shadow Warrior 2 reboot and I did not like it. They turned it into a looter shooter, a lot of co-op aspects of the game. Some people absolutely loved it. For me, I didn't like it. I'm not a fan of looter shooters, and so I didn't really like it. So if you really liked the looter shooter Shadow Warrior 2, you're going to be disappointed because Shadow Warrior 3 is not a looter shooter. It's very much in the vein of the first one, and it is just a linear story-based game. I don't even think there's any multiplayer in the game. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's not actually. Yeah, I don't even know how you would do it. So there's no multiplayer. It's just a single player linear story. And for me, I really love that because obviously Shadow Warrior 1 was like that. And just in general, if you know me, I'm not a big fan of open world games. I'm not a big fan of these 100-hour plus games. I like, I'm getting older. I'm getting less free time. So I like to actually beat games, not have to devote, over an entire month to one game like I had to do in order to get through Dying Light 2. So I really liked this. It's a pro for me that it's a linear, single-player story experience. And let's talk about the story. The story is pretty simple. It starts off with Wang, and he is on the back of a fucking dragon. Literally, that's how the game starts. You're on a dragon. And we're not talking like a wyvern, like Elden Ring dragon or whatever. We're talking like Chinese. You could kind of see it in the 3 type of dragon. And literally the entire game is just about killing this fucking dragon because it is destroying the planet, basically. And that's the whole game. And I really like that concept. I really, really enjoyed the concept of there's just one dude, he's fucking shit up, and you need to fuck him up. I really, really like that. I found it very enticing, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of the turns that the story took, although the game's really short, so it's not like there's many turns, but I really, really liked it. Let's talk about something that is obviously in the forefront of the Shadow Warrior games, and that is the combat. This is honestly the vast majority of what you're going to be doing other than platforming, which is new to this game, but I'll touch on that afterwards. The combat is phenomenal here. It is extremely fluid, and I saw some people complaining that it doesn't feel like Shadow Warrior, and it feels more like Doom Eternal. Yes, I agree. There is a lot of Doom Eternal in this game. They have the dash, they have the double jump, they have the, shoot this button and it'll activate this thing in the environment that can kill dudes. They have all of that. And even the arenas when you're fighting enemies feel very Doom Eternal. They even have basically glory kills in the game now, but they have a unique spin on it. Where if you glory kill an enemy, which you can't just do when they get to a low health, you have to build up a finisher bar, and then each enemy requires a different amount of the finisher bar, but it'll give you benefits, and just like right off the bat, you can rip a dude's head off and squish it, and that'll give you 100. It'll full heal you and give you 100 extra health. plus give you 5 seconds of immortality. So that's a good, like, oh shit, I'm about to die. There's this enemy here though. Let me just smash this dude's head real quick. They also has like an enemy, an ice enemy where you can rip their ice eye out, throw it in or freeze on the enemies in the area. Those are the only ones I'm going to talk about because I don't want to spoil them for you, but all of them are well animated. They're good. The only little gripe I have is there's only one finisher for every type of enemy. And, you know, compared to like Doom Eternal, where there's like at least usually like 5 or 6 for every enemy, depending on your position and where you're looking. That's not the case in this game, but at the same time, I kind of understand why, because, you know, it does end in you need to rip the dude's eyeball out so you can, you know, throw it and freeze enemies. So I kind of get it. But you are going to be looking at the same animation, you know, over and over, because there's obviously some enemies that are much more favorable to use the finishers on than others, because they just give you better shit. But the combat is really fun. If you like Doom Eternal, you're going to like this. It has weapon switching as well, which I really enjoy in these games. I know console people don't tend to like it as much because obviously it's accounted for in the balancing of the game that you can do it. If you don't know what weapon switching is, it's essentially like, say you have a shotgun, okay? And you need to shoot it and then, you know, pump it. You can quickly shoot it, swap to another weapon, and then swap back, and that's faster than going through the pump. And then you can shoot, and you can repeat that process. There's a grenade launcher in the game, and it's really slow to shoot the grenade launcher, because you shoot it, and then you flip it down, you put the new grenade in, you know, flip it back up. Probably takes you like a couple seconds in between each shot. Or you can quickly slash with your katana and then shoot again almost instantly. So, you know, there's a lot of that stuff that as you're playing, you figure it out. Oh, this cancels this animation, which allows me to, you know, shoot faster. Or you don't even have to reload in this game, because when you swap weapons, it always ensures that the weapon you're swapping to has a full mag, or it's fully reloaded. It's not just going to magically give you ammo, but you have the ammo, it'll be fully reloaded. So you can even take advantage of that, you know, and you can, if a weapon has a long reload, swap to another weapon, swap back, it's fully reloaded. Or what I, you know, got in the groove of doing, shoot a bit with this weapon, oh, it has to reload, swap to another weapon, shoot with that one, oh, it has to reload, swap maybe back to the one I was just using because now it's reloaded, or to a different weapon. You're just cycling through all your weapons. And one thing I really like about this game and the combat is that all of the weapons are good. You know, most of the time when you're playing games like this, like Doom Eternal, or just Doom 2016, right? Like Doom 2016, when do you ever use the starter pistol? You know, like once you get the shotgun, you're never going to use that starter pistol again. And a lot of these games have that like starter weapon or whatever that you never use. In this game, every single weapon has a purpose, and they're all good at something. And I really like that. And they all upgrade to have unique abilities, whether that's elemental damage, whether that's creating traps on enemies that they kill, whether it's becoming full auto and never having to reload, or getting heat-seeking effects, or going through enemies. There's a lot of really fun upgrades. But there's only 3 upgrades for every single weapon, and off the top of my head, I want to say there's 6 weapons. There's 6 or 7 weapons off the top of my head. So, but I still think that, you know, every weapon you kind of want in a game like this, you have. And I enjoyed all of the weapons. For me, I judge a first-person shooter a lot on their shotguns. There's nothing more telling than shooting a shotgun at a dude point blank and not feeling the impact. It's what Doom does great with the regular shotgun, especially with the super shotgun. And this game does it in flying colors as well. It passes the shotgun test. And I play a lot of these types of retro, fast-paced FPS games. So trust me when I tell you, this game has some satisfying combat. Of course, the katana also makes a return. You can use that all the time if you want to. It has its own upgrades, and it's very fun to use. There's a huge attention to detail as well. When you slash enemies, depending on the angle you're slashing, you'll actually see the striations in the enemy's body, which is really, really cool. Striations is it's a forensics term. It's just like the you can tell by the line which way it was slashed. Hopefully I'm explaining that well. But it's really cool. The attention to detail, you could chop off, just a bit of the dude's arm or half the arm, the entire arm, depending on the angle in which you're slashing. It's really, really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. And yeah, the combat's just thoroughly enjoyable. Really, really fun. I didn't get bored of it at all. The arenas are very well designed. For the most part, there was like one arena out of 30, 40 plus that I did not like. I felt it was a little bit too small for how many enemies they were throwing at me. But other than that, they were all really, really good. Gave you enough room to move around, but also, to still feel a bit pressured. And speaking of moving around, let's get to the second part of the game that I kind of alluded to earlier, which is the platforming. There's a surprising amount of platforming in this game, which was not present in Shadow Warrior 1. And like I said, I didn't play a lot of Shadow Warrior 2, so I don't know if they dabbled in it more in that game, but there's a lot of wall running, double jumping, dashing. It's similar with the jumping and the dashing that you would see in Doom Eternal, but with the addition of wall running and with the addition of a grapple hook, which, in my opinion, you're basically never going to use the grapple hook in actual combat. You can use it to pull yourself to enemies, but I never, ever used it. It just didn't seem very good to do, especially since I was on hard mode, and if I'm up close, I'm probably getting fucked up. But I found the platforming actually really enjoyable, which, if you watch my review of Doom Eternal, then you know that I'm not the biggest fan of that platforming. I felt that it only served to hurt the pace of the game, and I didn't feel that it was very fun or engaging. This is how you do, if you're going to do it, this is how you do platforming in these types of games, in these fast-paced FPS games. Really fun. There's several situations where you're platforming and, icicles are coming down, falling on you, and you have to avoid them, and you're wall running, and you're grapple hooking, and, you're swinging through as absolute mayhem and chaos is ensuing around you, and it's actually really, really fun. I thoroughly enjoyed the platforming sections, which, like I said, if you know me, that's very surprising. That tells you a lot, because I'm not a fan of platforming, especially in a first-person type of situation. I just don't like it. It's very rarely done well. This is a rare case where it's done well. And then let's get into the voice acting. Obviously, Lo Wang, he's fantastic. He's always been great. Some of the jokes they hit. Some of the jokes hit really hard. Had me laughing out loud for quite a few of them, actually, surprisingly. But his character, if you didn't like it before, you're not going to magically like him now. I mean, he's still vulgar. He still makes... they call him out on it in the game. He's still basically like a third grader, maybe a fourth grader. So if you're not into that, then I don't think the humor will hit for you. But absolutely love Lo Wang in this game as well as, the first game. I think he's great, personally. It sets the tone for the game. Hoji, his voice is in the game, and he's great. He's always great. Hoji's always been great. And then Zilla is actually in the game as well. He's the antagonist in the first game, I believe. And I really liked what they did with his character. I thoroughly enjoyed him. There's a witch chick. Her voice acting was kind of meh. I didn't really like her character that much, but luckily she doesn't have much dialogue. It's mostly you and Zilla. And yeah, I really liked the banter between them. I liked the voice acting. I thought they were both fantastic. And the sound design and the music as the final things to talk about. I like the music. There's a couple absolute bangers, though, I will say. I even really like this main menu theme, but there's a few absolute bangers. Most of the music is just pretty serviceable, though. It's not like Doom. Like, I'm not going to lie to you and be like, It's Doom levels. It's not really fueling your slaughter as much and making you want to rip and tear like Doom music does, but it's a nice little accent to the murder and the mayhem. So I think it's pretty good. The actual sound design of the guns and stuff, they sound good. Punchy shotgun. Like I said, it passes the test. One part of the test is how good does it feel to blow dudes apart? How does it look? Part of that feel is the sound, and I think all of the guns deliver on the sound department as well. Let's get into the cons. The length. We got to talk about it, man. It's a 4.5 hour game. Some people said they took 5 hours. I saw one guy say he took 6. I don't know what the fuck he's doing to take 6 hours, because I'm on the hardest difficulty. But, you know, I'm just a professional gamer, so maybe that's why. But 4.5 hours for a $50 game is rough. And I don't think there's much replay value. I'll be honest, I don't think there's a lot of replay value. There's no map or anything like that for the collectibles, and there's not really any collectibles. They're just like power upgrades and weapon upgrades. There are challenges, and maybe they'll add more challenges or weekly challenges or something like that. I don't know. Sort of similar to Doom Eternal and how they do things, but I think it's definitely overpriced for what it is. The quality is great. Don't get me wrong. The quality is good, but it's a little rough for the pricing. But we'll get into that when I give the actual score a little bit more. Also, there's a really weird stuttering. I heard about this before I started playing the game. Everyone was experiencing it. And then when I actually got into it, you know, I put it on an NVMe SSD, which if you don't know, they're some of the fastest SSDs that money can buy. I put it on there in hopes that I wouldn't have the stuttering, and I did, and it's bad. It stutters in game. It especially stutters every time it goes into cutscenes. There's huge stutters, and sometimes it can cause the audio to desync with the video, and that's really annoying when that happens for like a cutscene, because you're hearing shit a little bit sooner than you're seeing shit, and you know that can spoil stuff that's about to happen or whatever. It's kind of frustrating. That stuttering definitely needs to be fixed in a patch pretty soon here, because as of right now it's still not fixed. On the 8th of March I'm still experiencing it, so hopefully they fix that kind of soon. And yes, I have all the drivers. To quickly go over my specs, I have 48 gigs of RAM, DDR4. I don't remember the fucking megahertz. Doesn't matter. Fast enough. Fast enough. I'm running an RTX 2070 Super, and I am on a Ryzen 7 3700X, I think. And like I said, it's on an NVMe SSD. There's no reason this game should be stuttering like that, and it's not on just my PC. I looked it up. Everyone's experiencing it, so kind of annoying. In terms of the actual performance, when it's not stuttering, it's okay. I ended up having to cap the game at 60 FPS, which is a big no-no for a game like this, man. You don't want to be playing these fast FPS games on mouse and keyboard at 60. You want to at least, in my opinion, 80 or 90. But it was way too variable. Sometimes I'd be hitting 100, 110. And this is with DLSS on performance mode. I had it on balance for a long time. I can show you my settings. I ended up having to just turn them all down. I'm playing in 1440. I had a lot of this stuff on high, and my performance was all over. Then I turned everything other than textures on low, and I had DLSS on balanced, and I was getting like 100 FPS, but sometimes it would drop down to like 50 in certain areas and 60. Very weird. Not sure what was up with that. So performance is not the best in the game. I had to cap it to 60, and then it was mostly fine, but there were still some FPS drops in some really demanding areas where there's tons of explosions and enemies. There's certain enemies in the game that in particular that cause huge FPS drops, because the game will throw literally like 20 at you, and There's lots of explosions with those enemies, a lot of particle effects, and the FPS was dropping even below 60, which is absolutely crazy that that would happen on this PC. And the graphics themselves are not that good, honestly. Like, if I could play Red Dead Redemption 2, basically maxed out with DLSS on balanced in 1440p and get 80-ish, 80 to 90 FPS, and that's one of the best looking games ever made, there is no excuse, man. There's no fucking excuse for this game to be struggling so hard, because it looks much worse. The lighting and stuff is actually quite good, but the graphics are definitely subpar, in my opinion. And that's about all I have to say for the negatives, though. Overall, I really enjoyed the game, but if I have to give it a review for a $50 product for something that's 4.5, 5 hours, I'm gonna have to give it a 6, man. I'm gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. For me, a 5 is average, 6 is above average. Like, sure, I thoroughly enjoyed myself, but like, the amount of content is just not there. I mean, even look at my Sifu review, man. I think Sifu's overpriced. That's a $40 game, and at least it's 10 hours long. Like, this is half as long or less than half as long as Sifu, and it's $10 more. Like, that is crazy to me, dude. It definitely feels like there should have been a couple more levels. But since I thoroughly enjoyed everything, I would say if you could pick this game up for 20 bucks, this is a really good game. Like, there's almost nothing I would change. Other than, like, those performance issues, that's almost all I would change in the game, honestly. And as a result, I would say for this type of game, you know, retro style, fast-paced FPS, if you can get it for like 20-ish bucks, I think it's honestly like a 9 out of 10. I think it's amazing for what it is. The story kept me captivated. I like just the simple plot of go kill this fucking dragon. I like the characters. I like the banter. I like the jokes, and I love the combat, and I surprisingly enjoyed the platforming. So 9 out of 10 if you could get the game on sale for like 20 bucks, man. But it's not worth 50. Don't go out and spend 50, guys. If you're on PlayStation, it was day one PS Now. If you're just on console in general, I'm assuming it's also on Xbox. Pick it up, either rent it, you know, play it, knock it out, and return it, or pick up the game physical, play it, and then sell it on eBay or something and get your fucking money back. That's what I would recommend. If you're on PC, sail the high seas until it goes on sale and then buy it then. Honestly, that's what I would tell you guys. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a fantastic rest of your day. See all of you in the next video, or stream Maroney. Bye-bye. All right.